touch on that with med kits. That's part of it. You need to know. You're here. You know anything? You're from out of town. You know what type of medical care is here? How long is it going to take for an ambulance to get here?
Could save 30 minutes. 30 minutes could mean the
Yeah, so you are your own first responder, because you know what? If you have something serious with you, and it's going to take 30 minutes for EMS to get here, you know what's going to happen? You're dead. Period. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to do false anything. Fact. You're dead. You get an arterial bleed, you get a tension pneumothorax, you have a sucking chest wound, an open chest wound, guess what? You're dead. Anybody here that developed any type of that condition right now, in 3 to 4 minutes, you're dead. Unless somebody does something. There's a lot of people right here who've been trained how to do it. How many people carry a tourniquet with them at all times? All right, let me see it. You know how to use it? You know how to practice with it? Good, we're going to talk about that second. All right, med kits. So, how many people actually have a medical kit of some sort in their car or on them? How many people carry it on them all the time? You carry the cool guy stuff, right? You got your IFAC, right? Ninja stuff. Ninja's going to come out with their ray guns. They're going to shoot me, right? We've got an IFAC. Yes, this is an SOE compact aerial med kit. They work. Believe me, I've had every medical bag, kit, whatever. I'll just say this is John's plug. His equipment is bomb-proof. When I discovered SOE, I didn't need one piece of equipment. All right, I've replaced as much as I can. If I can get him to start building the medical backpacks again, I'm going to drop all the money and text for that. So, IFAC, right? Individual first aid kit. What does it treat? Emergency stuff that's going to kill you. The 3 things I just mentioned. Small, compact, we carry it. Problem is, that's great. I'm going to have it. We all carry a tourniquet. You know what you're going to use that tourniquet for? If you ever have to use it? Very unlikely you're going to do it because that guy shot you or somebody shot at somebody else, anything. You know what it's going to be?
A sling.
It's going to be a car wreck. It's going to be a chainsaw accident. It's going to be whatever. All right, so it's the same thing that's based with the medic kit. You know, we've got the old typical first aid kit, right, from our home. Right? What do we have in it? Gone to Wally World, you bought their biggest, baddest first aid kit for $24.99, right?
$39.99.
How much?
$39.99.
$39.99, whatever. What's it got in it? A shit ton of Band-Aids. Right? Now, what are you going to use the most? A shit ton of Band-Aids, probably. You're going to have a boo-boo kit. That's what I carry. I carry one with me everywhere. I've got a boo-boo kit. It's got Band-Aids in, a few other things. That's what we're going to have. But when you start planning a medical kit, you need to think about, what am I going to use that medical kit for? I'm going camping. Where am I going? How long is it going to take to get help? What's likely of something that could happen? Is it cold? Is it warm? Because in your medical kit, if somebody gets cold, should you be ready? Should you have a blanket or something that's emergent that can keep them warm, and a real one? There's little silver ones. No, I carry them. There's one in this IFAC right here. Anybody ever used one of these? Tried to use one? Hey, what's it like? They fall apart. If you've got to move somebody's stationed, sitting, laying down, you want to put it over them, tin it over their head, get them to warm up. Because, oh, they might go in shock. Folks, they're in shock. As soon as that injury happens, they're in shock. All we're going to do is try to hopefully make it so that shock doesn't get worse. I don't care what you say, I'll argue with you. You get an arterial blade, major traumatic injury, you're in shock. Somebody falls out here and breaks their ankle, guess what's going to happen? They're mildly going to go into shock. Your body can fix that, it can reset. But it's going to happen. But you have to be ready for it. What else are you going to experience? You're in your car. I'm on TV, right? With an app. Getting out of bed. If we have PowerPoint here, I actually had pictures of actual tourniquets off plates on patients. Yes, I have permission to use them. One of them is completely severed foot. It's an 82-year-old female who got out of bed, stepped down on the floor, and her foot broke off completely.
Oh.
The only reason she's alive Her daughter was on her way to pick her up, take her to church. It was on Sunday. She lived close to the EMS station. Me and my partner were stationed at, which happened to be close to a hospital. We found her. She was unconscious, unresponsive. She had big, I'll never forget, a big tan shag carpet, bright red. They estimated she had lost about half her blood volume. If another probably minute, she'd have been dead. This happens. Chainsaws, all these things. This is what happens. And this is a piece of equipment. How many people here have taken CPR first aid? It's important, right? Everybody pushes it, right? This. Do you know what your chances are, cardiac arrest out of a hospital setting, your survival rate is? When I show up as a paramedic, do you know what your survival rate is when we start CPR, give all fancy things?
10%. 90.
7% survival rate. You know what your survival rate is if you put this on and stop bleeding?
70.
97%. Now, I'm not saying knowing CPR is not important, but this is just as important. This will save a life. Those IFACs everybody carries and everything in it. If you've got the fancy the chest seals, if you've got the needle, all those things, those conditions you're going to use them for, you're going to die in 5 minutes or less if you develop those conditions. This is the most important thing. I carry a tourniquet with me every single day on my body everywhere I go. This is a soft tee. I also carry cats. Yep, I don't carry rats. I don't carry anything. Yep, they're smaller and everything. These work. I know these work. I'm not saying anything not to get a rats if you have one or a TK4. I'm not. I prefer these. I've used these. I know these work. What's the Army issue? Cat turn. What's the Marine Corps issue? Soft tee. Horses, what do they use? Everybody who goes into somewhere where there's a bigger likelihood of something happening that a tourniquet's going to be used, this is what they use. It's known, they've got 20 plus years now of knowledge and data that says for this. How many people actually carry a tourniquet every day? Do you practice with it? Could you get it out, put it on yourself in 30 seconds or less? So order one of the cheap ones off Amazon. When you're sitting around watching TV, doing whatever, practice it. We used to, I worked over, so we would just play games, didn't matter where we were. Somebody would come in, they'd throw a tourniquet at your right leg. Do it. You have 30 seconds to do it. You can make it fun, but this is something you need to practice now. I'm not saying if you don't get it on 30 seconds, somebody's going to die. That's what's going to happen. You should practice. It's not just for yourself, but it's putting on to people. And there's techniques. All right? Techniques. A few things you have to, you put a tourniquet on. Has anybody ever placed a tourniquet here on somebody? Have you done a real one? Somebody who's actually has an injury, put one on. What do they do? When you put that tourniquet on, what happened? When you start cranking it down. Was he conscious? Most people will tell you the tourniquet hurts more than the actual injury. It does. It's going to hurt a lot. And when you put it on, they're going to scream, take it off, take it off, take it off. They're going to scream, they're going to fight. So I can tell if somebody's ever really put a tourniquet on somebody, more than one, because as they do it and they start tightening it up, they're doing this. Because people swing, they kick, because it hurts. And they're going to, I hate to say it, bitch the whole time while it's on. Take it off, it hurts, and they'll tell you it hurts more than the actual injury. But it's saving their life. Suck it up. It's not fun. You don't want to hurt people, but it's going to hurt. But you're saving them. That's what is going to keep them alive, breathing. Questions so far? All right. So you get your tourniquet. A lot of people raise their hand and say they have a tourniquet. Still in the package? So how many people, be honest, How many people still have their tourniquet? Has this nice plastic wrap on it. All right, so I want you to do something. A lot of equipment, a lot of stuff I use, I'll just give you a little tip. Even the little packages, chest seals, everything, if you've ever seen people who've been around a lot of stuff, you put tape tabs. No, I didn't invent this. I had an 18 Delta teaching this. And I believe they still teach it in 18 Delta school. So you take some tape, put little tear handles up on it. Why? Because when you're dealing with somebody and there's a lot of blood, what happens to your hands? Go stick your hands in motor oil and then try to do something. It's the same thing. So having that in a package, you try to take this out of the package with hands covered in blood, doing whatever, it's never going to happen. Have it staged, have it ready. Now, when tourniquets come, they all do it. Don't ask me why. But 90% of the time, it's packaged like that. So you get it out of the package, you get the plastic off, and how you're doing this, because you got to put it around something, right? Stage your tourniquet. Now here's a little tip. A lot of people, you can do it, fold it. There's a billion ways on the internet. Everybody's skinny medic, prep medic, this medic, that medic, whoever has ways to stage a tourniquet. I don't care how you do it, as long as you have it. What I will tell you, there's a great little trick I was taught. Take the end, fold it over on itself on the Velcro. Bring enough down to where it's the length of the tourniquet. Usually you'll fold it back up on itself. I'm doing this messy as shit. I normally don't. Yeah. Fold it up, now it's nice and flat, but the reason you fold it up like that and do it that way, and you've got something to grab, especially if you have to self-deploy. Get a nice big handle. You can put it good tight, you get a good purchase. But I can crank this. And how many cranks? We want to sit here and crank on this thing for a while? This is what we want. I do not have a radial pulse right now. We blood flow, it's cut off. How many times did I crank it? Twice. Did you watch when I was putting it on? How hard did I pull? Put it on. Quick. Come on. Let's go when you wait. All right, please. Go ahead. Don't take those out. It's okay. No hurry here. No sense of urgency. Let's go.
Caleb, show her how to crank that in.
I was told by an old medic, he was an instructor, he said, you crank it till they start yelling and then crank one more time. Now, how many people put it on and you had to pull this way? When you put it on, have that tail that you're pulling toward yourself. Why? More leverage. Get it tight. Did you notice when I put it on and then crank it twice? Look at my hand. See? It hurts. But I only cranked it twice. Because when I pulled towards myself, I yanked it down, I was able to get it real tight. So it's quick and simple. So as you're self-deploying, you're putting it on to yourself, pull towards yourself. You're going to get 10 times more leverage. Make sense? Now, placement. Let me get a little blood flow back in my arm. So placement. Turn a little purple. All right. You know it works. You know I'm not full of shit. I actually did crank it down. Two ways we place a tourniquet. A hasty or emergency tourniquet or a deliberate tourniquet. Now what's the difference? How many people have heard, oh, you take the tourniquet and you put it on 3 inches above the wound and then that's where you take it down? It's a deliberate tourniquet. You can do that. Will it work? Yeah. Here's the thing. You're in an emergency situation. If you're not used to seeing arterial blood, and what's arterial blood look like? It's going to squirt out, right? All that bullshit you see on the movies, it constantly squirts out like somebody turned a hose on. That's what it is. It's bullshit. It goes with your pulse. As your heart beats, it squirts out, but it's going to be bright red. It's oxygenated blood. That is the blood that is circled through your heart and your lungs. It's been reoxygenated. The air you breathe in goes down your lung and your heart. It's molecules attached. It won't get through the whole thing, but it goes into the blood, and the arteries pump it to the rest of your body. That's how your organs, your brain, your toes, your fingers all get oxygen. That's how your skin, what's your largest organ? Your skin, right? That's how the end of my finger, it gets oxygenated. See that blood through the arteries. Veins return to the heart. That's deoxygenated blood. It's taking all the crap out in the trash, right? So that's how you know it's arterial blood. It's going to spurt. It's going to be bright red. So our placement, we want to go, you have arteries all through your legs and your arms. We're only going to use a tourniquet on extremities. You may be tempted to use it on somebody's neck. I'm not saying they don't deserve it, all right? Technically, I have to say that's not what they're used for. I can't stop what you do in your own private time.
You have an extra battery. 9?
So, when you place a tourniquet, what we want to do is go high and tight. I'm sure you've heard that before, right? As high as you can go, as tight as you can go. Tight until it's no longer spurting. We shut the water off, right? It's plumbing. That's all we're doing. We're plumbers. What do plumbers do? I've got a leak. Well, let's stop the leak first, then we'll fix it, right? That's what we're doing. It's no different. So once we put that on, we want to go high and tight. Why do we want to go high on the legs and high on the arm? How big is my artery here compared to up here, or my femoral artery compared to a pedal artery, which is in my foot? Big, right? So think about it. I put a tourniquet here, right? I still have all this pressure shooting down through here, right? So you've got that pressure and everything, so the best thing to do is just cut it all off. Just like plumbing, right? You've got that whole line of plumbing, you've got a leak way down here, but the water cutoff is back. You just cut it all off to the whole thing, right? Same thing. You cut that off, and here's the other thing. What if it's down on my ankle? I put a tourniquet right here. If you do that 2 or 3 inches above the wound, right? How many bones do I have here and here, my lower arms, compared to my upper legs and upper arms? 1 bone. That you've got to compress down with that artery. You've got 2 bones in the lower part. It's harder to occlude those arteries putting a tourniquet on. So we do a hasty emergent tourniquet because it's easy to remember, right? High and tight. We're just going to stop the blood. Oh, wait. You might get tissue damage. There's no blood. You're going to hurt it. Look it up yourself. You don't have to keep a kid. I've got a vehicle med bag from John. I've got one. Got to bring it in. It's sitting in my truck right now. What's it loaded down with? What are you probably going to experience when you're in your car? Traumatic injuries, right? So build it for traumatic injuries, bleeding, stuff like that. Should we have to splint somebody? Do you have the medical gear? Do you have splints? Simple SAM splint. Yep, I take them out of the package. Yep, I'll do that. You want to know why? It doesn't have to be sterile. Guess what? If you're putting a splint on somebody, they probably don't have an open wound. And if they do have an open wound, guess what? The infection's already in there. When you get them to a higher level of care, you know what they're going to do? The first thing they're going to do with them? Put a shit ton of antibiotics in them. Now, if you want to talk about, somebody mentioned extended care. Yeah, you better be prepared for that. So if I have a cut on my arm, whatever, world's gone to hell, I'm not going to see a doctor for a while. I've worked in those environments. I've worked overseas where I am the doctor. I am the extended care. I may have to take care of a patient 3, 4, 5 days before I can get an evac out. So, do you have the supplies on hand? Because that cut on an arm, if it's open, I'm going to have to pack that wound, clean that wound, sterilize it, keep it better to prevent infection from killing this patient. I better have a ton of gauze on hand. I better have, do I know how to disinfect a wound? Do I know how to do it properly? It's great. We can get on Amazon and we can order suture kits. Jake Drum is selling suture kits right here. It's great. I'm gonna buy some suture kits. Do you really know how to sew? Yeah, maybe you could sew, mend a shirt, stuff like that. You ever sewed skin? Do you know how to close a wound? Do you understand what it means? Great, you can do that. You can buy a skin stapler. You can order it from Amazon right now. Get on your phone, order them away. Staple that up. Done it many times. Here's the problem. Stapled it up. Did you clean that wound right? Do you know for 100% you've cleaned it, you've debrided it, you've done all those things? Do you have those supplies? That's the thing. Because you know what I'm going to do? Especially if it's in time when we can't get to doctors, the world's collapsed, I'm probably not even going to close that wound. How do I know that? Because I have training. I've done this 27 years. Do you have training? I don't give a shit what you buy, all this stuff, all the cool bags, all the cool gear you get. You better spend that money on training. Do I teach? Yep, come to me. I'll teach classes, I'll do individual, I do prolonged care. He teaches. Kayla teaches a tactical response right down the road here. Drummond there, who's selling stuff, he teaches. He teaches wilderness stuff. I don't care who you take it from. Actually, I do. And it's not because I want to make money, because I do. All right? My whole thing is investigate who you're going to teach. There's a ton of people now teaching cool guy with tactical casualty care. Yep, that's the name of the course. I can teach it. He can teach it. Kayla can teach it. The thing is, there are people who took a course, took it a couple times, went and got a little piece of paper that says, I'm an instructor, because you know what they did? They passed the test. I passed a test 27 years ago to become a paramedic. Was I a paramedic? Hell no.
Right.
I had enough knowledge to sit in class for 2 years because I took a test that gave me a little piece of card that says, yeah, you were smart enough to take a test, pass this thing, now you can go out and cause damage. I was dangerous as shit. It took me a good 5 years of practicing as a paramedic to feel comfortable. That's the whole thing. Get your training, but make sure you get it from qualified people. Do some research, right? Do you just call anybody up? Oh, my furnace is broken.
No, you call Tad.
You call Tad, right? Why? You sat here and listened to Tad. You investigate. Does Tad know what the hell he's doing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So don't just go up, oh, this guy's going to class. Who is this guy? What's his background? I can sit up here and say all this shit. Yep, I've done it for 27 years and all this. Investigate me. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you something that's not true. Do I teach? Yeah. I've literally taught thousands of students, EMTs, paramedics, all people all over the world, military, police officers, stuff like that. You're either good at it or you're not. Ask people.
Where is your training and how long is it?
I've worked for several people. I'm just now starting to do my own thing. So you can get with me off while. I'll be more than happy to come and do stuff, or I'll recommend who to go to.
All right. So if you're interested, you can come to me. Find me at EMT Don, Instagram and YouTube. You can reach out to me at don@ambulancedriverconfessionals.com. Oops. And today I'm offering Find Me, Talk to Me, free down and dirty violence. In that bag right there, got a BP call stethoscope. I can teach you how to take a whole bunch of stuff.
That's a really nicely made bag. Who made that?
The same guy who made it.
So,
Hey.
So, one one real thing I want to touch on right before we break. Get some books, some manuals to show you some of this stuff, all right? And don't get some digital book or you buy the book. I've got a list of books I'm going to read it to you. I actually had a PowerPoint thing, but we didn't do that, so I can throw it up. So there's just some books I'm going to tell you about real quick that are well known throughout the medical world.
Wait.
It's Arbach's Wilderness Medicine Guide, all right? That is actually on the required reading for any special operations medic that goes into 18 Delta, all right? They have to read it. Other one is Ditch Medicine, Hugh Coffey. It's well known, it's amazing, he has great illustrations. It's something you want.
What was
if
the
you can
first one
find it.
again?
What is it?
What was the first one?
Email
again?
Lonnie that list and we will put it in the follow-up email that will be going out.
Yep, I will.
Yeah.
Where there is no doctor, and then there's Where There Is No Dentist. All right, it's two different authors. They're great books. The SOS, the Special Operations Forces Medical Handbook. That's what all the guys who go to 18 Delta. That's their handbook. And the last one is a lot of people don't realize, the Pararescue Medical Handbook. PJ's Parajumpers. Their book is amazing. Those are books I would get. If you want to know what this is, come find me. I'll be more than happy to share the list with you. Get those books so you have these resources on hand because you're going to need them. Anybody been to an ER lately? You're going to wait a long time. All right? You're going to need to know this stuff. What's your name again? Chuck Peoples. Peoples.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks,
And
Don.
Donald, there will be a couple more medicine sessions later today. Let's give them a round of applause. All right. Okay, a couple of announcements before we break. The next session starts at 1:30, I believe, back there. Can you just double check me because I'm stupid and walked away. 1:30, John Willis and Kevin Dixie are going to talk about racial politics.
Well, what about the rabbit?
But the rabbit processing will start at 12:30 under the pole barn. And for those of you in the Freedom Cells, you're going to have rabbit processing too. Freedom Cells learn things. For lunch, if we have a sponsor for the first 200 people, and we got more than 200 people here today, you can buy lunch. They will take money. They were a little confused about taking money, but they will totally take your money because they don't hate money. And lunch is over there until they run out. We've got some more pork going in the back. There's a ton of food, so go get your lunch, hang out. Thank you to Bergen County Harley Davidson. Am I saying Bergen or is it Bergen? Bergen. I Germanize everything. That's what I do. Bergen County Harley Davidson. I meant to ask you that before we started. Thank you so much for sponsoring. I know you're just paying it for. We really appreciate it. Also, there are drink coolers. One has beer, one has non-alcoholic. You're welcome to have drinks there, and water's in that 20 by 20 out there as well in the cooler.